1, 2, 3, that's right. Hi guys, it's Mandy from MandyleePlays, and for today's Mandy Rambles, I'm going to be talking about kind of my stance on emulation for like the last time and how it's kind of changed, and also the whole free melee and stuff and my input in that. Now there's a few disclaimers that I want to say before I get into it. Number one, I've never emulated or modded, so I don't know what most of these terms mean. Number two, I did, look through several videos and articles about the subject, so I'm not going into it uninformed, but I'm still kind of confused, honestly. I mean, like, trying to research stuff in gaming drama is harder than any paper I had to write in college. I'm just saying. And number three is I'm going to have a more kind of nuanced perspective where I talk about both sides, because there is both sides to this thing. So let's get into it. Now, my stance on emulation before was pretty traditional. It was more like, if the game was old, you cannot find it, the hardware is old, and it runs like doo-doo, then you could emulate it and mod it. Now, if the game is recent and it's fine, the software is fine, the hardware is, fine, you could easily get access to it, you should not emulate it and put no mods, because I always think mods kind of ruin experiences and the way it's meant to be played. So that was my stance, and I was pretty hard on people who emulated, did mods on games and stuff like that, because to me, it felt kind of an infringement of someone else's creation. Now, I did actually do a debate on this on a PC channel. Yeah, I know. That didn't turn out too well. Going in front of a bunch of PC players and saying how emulation and mods are bad, it wasn't well receptive. Now, the channel was for Tango Plays, and he actually took it off, which I'm like, thank God. And no, I didn't tell him to take it off. I actually noticed it was off when I was going to put a link for it in the description, and it wasn't there, and I was just like, thank God. Thank God it's not there. And I just very well disagreed with a lot of things that were actually, somewhat legit. Now looking back at it, now fast forward to like a week or something, that has changed, because I've seen how a company could take advantage of the games that they own, which they're legally in the right, but morally it's kind of in the grayish, or morally it's just not good. And I now see how emulation could help kind of circumvent things like that, and also to preserve a game or gaming culture that has been long lost by Nintendo, whoever, and kind of still have hype around it and have people still playing it. Like the Smash Melee. Now, Melee for me was like, I hated Melee as a game, but a lot of Smash players love it for its competitive gameplay and very precise kind of attacks, and you know those people who are just like Melee for life kind of people. But I can see why there's this whole kind of hype culture to it to this day, and why there's still like conventions, well, not anymore, there's still like people playing it and stuff like that. It's just a culture of people who like Melee, and to circumvent the aspect of having to buy an outdated console or buying a really expensive copy of the game, because that game sells for a lot of money, they kind of circumvent that where they can still play and enjoy the games with other people. Now, with the advent of COVID into the mix, a lot of people can't get together, which is understandable, but they still wanted to play against each other without the online hassle. So they had this mod, it's called Slippy. I'm not gonna get into details because I don't know really mods and emulation technical side of it. And pretty much it lets people play Melee online with other people, and it's a very good online experience. So like just that alone, someone went out of the way to do it for a game that's been long lost for like ever. When Smash Ultimate, which has legit every character in the roster, but people still love Melee, it's just it's kind of moving actually because they love their game and they made a way even through a freaking pandemic to keep on playing, and that's just really admirable. Now, Nintendo caught wind of this because they were doing this competition or something like that, and then they shut it down because they're using mods and they're emulating the game. So that brings into question the whole legal versus moral. Legally, Nintendo's in the right. Morally, Nintendo's in the wrong. Because throughout this whole COVID thing, we've been very understandable about Nintendo and their lack of games, the increase in ports, and all that stuff. And I love Nintendo. I mean, look at the background, and my whole channel is like basically Nintendo. So we've been very understanding about their plight and fight with COVID, and then for them to turn around and say, hey, you're doing social distancing, which is good job, but no, you cannot play with the emulator or a mod, we're shutting this down. It's kind of like a backhand. Morally, since people were not allowed to gather and they found a way to still play together, why would you stop that? Alright, now to like Nintendo's standpoint. Legally, they're in the right, yeah. And I could say, like, you know, my channel wouldn't be here if it wasn't their stance on YouTubers and Nintendo. Now, if you don't know, back then, many moons ago, we had to be a part of a Nintendo program, something. Capturing footage of the games was like pretty much a one-way trip to copyright strike, but they changed that. People could just freaking live stream it now. So they've come a long way with stuff like that. And that makes me wonder, why have they stooped so low out of a sudden? Like, they found very good success recently. I think Nintendo came out better than any of the other companies, being that Animal Crossing is like everyone's lifeblood at this point. And I know if you let one thing slide, it kind of sets a precedent for other things to slide too. Which I think they should look at it more as a case-by-case basis, pretty much. Because a lot of companies say, oh, if this one does this, then there's a green light for everybody to do anything. And I just think that if they did it on a case-by-case basis, because there's different circumstances and different things, different times and all that stuff, if they just look at it case by case instead of just like, nobody could do this. Now, again, it's within their right to do whatever they want. It's their IP. And part of me doesn't hate them automatically because, like I said, my channel's a Nintendo channel. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for like their games and stuff. So part of me just can't hate them like that, but that was bad. I guess the positive side is I come with a new perspective on how emulation and mods can impact a game and its community and the fandom even years before or after it was released, and keep it going and keep it fresh and show love to it. So there's that, and that is my Mandy Rambles. It's a bit serious, and there's this whole thing with the Joy-Cons with Etika. Now, I'm not going to get into this topic because it deals with mental health, and right now that's kind of triggering, so I don't really want to talk about it. Yeah, that's where my story ends. I probably added no value except for my opinion. I'm sorry if I left out details or things like that, because this video wasn't really meant to go into the details. And yeah, so with all that being said, I hope you liked the video, and if you want to stick around, please hit that subscribe button. As always, I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of the day, play a good game, and as always, peace.